y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. On this episode, we're going to be reviewing Ring of Honor's Final Battle 2018. Let's jump right in. Well, actually, before we jump right into it, if you haven't seen the videos before, I rate everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Now, let's jump right into it. First match of the night, we have Kenny King versus Eli Isom. In a match, I kind of feel like we have the young Kenny King versus the existing Kenny King. And this match felt a little bit out of place. It didn't feel like a Final Battle match. And this is no knock on Eli Isom. I think for where he is in his career, he is very, very much ahead of the curve. I just kind of felt like there wasn't that big of a build to this. There wasn't that big fight feel to this. And to me, Final Battle is the Starrcade, the WrestleMania, the Bow for Glory of Ring of Honor. So, to me, I felt this would have been better suited as a Ring of Honor TV match. Kenny King picked up the win. Again, I felt a little bit underwhelmed, so I'm going to give it a 2. No knock on either guys. I like both of them, but it just fell flat to me. Next up, we have for the Ring of Honor Television Champion, the champion, or Television Championship, the champion, Jeff Cobb versus Hangman Adam Page. This was one of the matches I was really hyped for coming into it. First off, there's a couple things playing into this. I wanted to see what happened with the Elite guys on the show, because famously all of the Elite guys, Adam Page, Marty Scurll, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and Kenny Omega, who's not on the show, but they're all in high-profile matches, and their contract is up soon. So I wanted to see if maybe they're going to tip the hat on them staying with Ring of Honor, or at least having a working relationship with Ring of Honor. So this was the first time we got to see that. I really liked this match. I thought it was good. The only complaint I have about it is I felt it could have went another 5 minutes or a little bit longer. Other than that, I thought it was a good match. My expectations were a little high, so maybe it took away from it in that, to me. Jeff Cobb picked up the win. I give the match overall a 3. Again, maybe, like I said, maybe my expectations were a little bit higher than they should have been, but that's kind of how I feel with it. Next up, we have a 4-way match for the Women of Honor Championship. We have Kelly Klein versus Madison Rayne versus Karen Q versus the champion Sumie Sakai. And this match really felt like a coming out party and I don't want to say re-pushing, but a focus on putting Kelly Klein back into the main event scene and getting her as the focal point. And I don't disagree with that. I thought she should have been the focal point of the Women of Honor all along. To me, she's the biggest, the best ambassador, and I said this on Twitter. She's a total badass in the ring, and totally the nicest person in the world outside of the ring, whether you deal with her on Twitter or meeting her in person. I met her in person, and I talked to her for a really brief period of time, and it was kind of one of those things where I was a little bit starstruck talking to her. And I don't really get that way with a lot of wrestlers, but she is one of my top, she's in the list of top wrestlers I enjoy. She's one of my favorites. But I felt a little bit starstruck. And I didn't get to say everything I wanted to when I met her. So I messaged her on Twitter later when I got home, and I said, hey, I'm sorry. It didn't come out. I kind of fumbled over my words a bit. But I wanted to mention this to you, and she got right back to me. And that's just the kind of person she is. Not trying to humble brag or brag about my interactions. We're just laying the picture of how I think she's a great person, especially to her fans. We see Karen Q gets eliminated first, then Madison Rayne, that leaves us to Sumie Sakai, and Kelly Klein does all the eliminations in the match. Kind of felt like Sumie Sakai was playing a chess game, letting Karen Klein, or Kelly, I keep saying Karen Klein because I know a lady named Karen Klein, and there's a Karen Q and Kelly Klein in here. I digress. Kelly Klein, it felt like Sumie Sakai was playing a chess game and letting Kelly wear herself down so she can keep herself for the final fall. And then when we shifted into that, it really picked up and we really seen some crazy, innovative stuff from the two. And I think they work really well with each other. Kelly Klein works through all of it, picks up the win, and I couldn't be happier with an outcome and a match. I thought this match was really good. I'm going to give it a 4. I may be a little bit biased again. I've mentioned it several times here. I think Kelly Klein is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world, and I want to see her do well, and I love the fact that she's now the Women of Honor champion, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but to me, it felt awesome seeing them use her in a way that I think she should be used. Next up, we have the technical dream match, Jonathan Gresham versus Zack Sabre Jr. A little bit of a sidebar. Taka Michinoku has become so much a part of the Zack Sabre Jr. product that it didn't feel right without him there to hype up Zack Sabre Jr. Taka does such a great job at it that I missed him. I missed him being there. I missed him talking about Zack Sabre Jr. And it, to me, I mean, it's a little thing, but it's become they've become so intertwined to the character that it felt like it needed him to be there. I like this match. It was another match that I was really looking forward to. I think these guys are both amazing talents. I think it's not going to be long into the future that we see Jonathan Gresham being a Ring of Honor World Champion and Zack Sabre Jr. being the IWGP Champion. They're both on that trajectory. And I think this is a good match. I kind of feel like much like the Adam Page and Jeff Cobb match, that it was a little bit shorter than I liked. I want to say it went about 12, 13 minutes. I think they would have been better suited if they were given 20 to 25 minutes. But maybe they're going to save that for a bigger show. Zack Sabre Jr. picks up the win here. I really enjoyed this match. I wanted to like it more than I did. I'm going to give it a 3. It was good. I feel like it could have been better, especially with these two talents. Now, next up was kind of the antithesis, and I don't want to state you to think that in a bad way. We have Matt Taven defending his real World Championship against Dalton Castle. And I really wasn't looking forward to this for 2 reasons. Now, it's not that I don't like Dalton Castle, and it's not that I don't like Matt Taven. Dalton Castle, since coming back from injury, hasn't really given us that breakout match yet that we know he could play, that we know he could do. So I kind of didn't expect him to do it here. And the other part of it is, I kind of, as much as I love Cody Rhodes, and I do, I wanted the Final Battle main event to be Jay Lethal versus Matt Taven, to see who actually is the real Ring of Honor champion. And when that storyline didn't play out as much, I kind of wasn't as interested in what Matt Taven was doing. And, again, just me, so I went into this match with a little bit of low expectations. I felt Taven should have been in a more prominent role. Felt Dalton Castle might have been better served in a 6-way match or a 6-man match. But boy, was I wrong. I think these two guys put on the match of the night. They didn't need anything extra. Just two wrestlers going at it and showing why they're top tier talents and showing why if the Elite does pull out of Ring of Honor, the future of Ring of Honor is still going to be bright. We're still going to have these guys there that are gonna steal the show every night, that are going to be putting on amazing matches and give us great characters and carry on the torch of what Ring of Honor has been forever. And I really enjoy that. And like I said, I was super impressed by this match. It was probably my favorite match of the night. A little bit surprised with the ending. Not totally surprised, but Matt Taven picks up the win. I give this match a 5. Again, probably my favorite match of the night, to be honest with you. And it's one of the ones I had the least amount of anticipation for. Kind of just felt like they threw two guys at, alright, we don't got nothing for you two guys, go ahead. You two wrestle. Just my opinion. Next up, we have Christopher Daniels versus Marty Scurll for Marty Scurll's #1 contendership, with the preface being, if Daniels doesn't win, he's going to be fired from Ring of Honor. I thought this was a solid match. It kind of felt like a little bit of a mirror match in a way, where we have Christopher Daniels, and he has a certain style, and he's one of the best wrestlers of the last 20 years. And then we have Marty Scurll, who's kind of an updated version, a newer version of Christopher Daniels. Not that Christopher Daniels is anywhere off of his game, but it kind of feels like we have two sides of the same coin here. And in this match, it was really, really solid. I enjoyed it very much. I think the two match up well against each other. Again, if the Elite do leave, Christopher Daniels is there, hopefully, to fill more of that vacuum. And again, going with what I said earlier with Hangman Page, Marty Scurll picks up the win, to which I was a little bit surprised. Maybe we get a blow-off World Championship match if he is leaving here shortly. Maybe it's tipping the hat that Marty's not going to be one that leaves Ring of Honor. Who knows? We've been told that the Elite is going to stay together wherever they go. But, again, it was another thing I was looking for with this. After the match, we see Christopher Daniels emotional, has tears running down his face as he's waving goodbye to the fans. And before we get into what happens now, I give this match a 4. I think it was really good. I enjoyed the story that was told here. Back to the Daniels saying his goodbyes. As he's up in the corner waving goodbye, Bully Ray comes in and attacks him. Gets the heat immediately on himself. Calls Flip Gordon out, says, Flip, come in the ring right now. We're going to start our match, our I Quit match right now. And then before we get into the match, there's a bunch I got to unpack on this match, because it's a lot. The entrance for Flip Gordon was interesting. Kind of reminded me of another person I'm going to mention in a bit. With him coming through the Hammerstein crowd, and he had the green army fatigues and a flak jacket on. Reminiscent of what the Authors of Pain wear. And I know it was to highlight his military background, but maybe they could have done without the flak jacket. I don't know. He came through there, he had a flag, and instead of a pole, it had a Singapore cane. Had an absolutely great entrance. Reminiscent of someone we're going to mention later in just a few moments. Along with that, there's a couple other things I want to unpack here. There was a very attractive blonde girl sitting in the front row, and I was talking back and forth with my friend Sean. We were sending messages back and forth as we were watching the show, kind of commenting on what we were watching. And we'd mentioned the uninterested blonde girl sitting in the front row. Turns out that uninterested blonde girl is Flip Gordon's girlfriend. So I don't know. I don't believe she's a wrestling fan. Maybe she was. I mean, it seemed like she was only there for this angle, which we see as we get into the match, and as we get into it, it starts breaking down. It's going all over. It's going crazy. There's an insane spot where Bully Ray backdrops Flip Gordon over a table, and I don't know if that was a desired effect, but it added so much to it. It was so much more than just a table spot. It felt more dangerous. Flip Gordon's wearing the crimson mask. We see at one point Bully Ray goes over to threaten Carrie Silken, the former owner / ambassador of Ring of Honor, and before he can hit him with a Singapore cane, Christopher Daniels throws his body in front of him and takes the bullet basically for him. So maybe that's what saves Christopher Daniels' career in Ring of Honor. Bully Ray pulls Flip's girlfriend out of the crowd, threatens to put her through a table, to which Carrie comes back and hits Bully Ray in the back to distract him, so Flip's girlfriend can give him an old uppercut to the man parts. We see Silas Young come out, helping Bully Ray attack, which brings out Cheeseburger. They dispose of him. They start setting up a table for a flaming table spot. Colt Cabana runs down from commentary. They dispose of him rather quickly. And we get to the point where Bully Ray and Silas look like they're going to set up a super power bomb through a flaming table, and the lights go out. And when they come on, I mentioned earlier someone that Flip's entrance reminded me of, and it was the Sandman. And I know we had just seen him as Flip's friend a couple weeks back on Ring of Honor television, but just seeing the Sandman in the Hammerstein Ballroom in a match like this, it just felt right. The only thing that could have been better is if they had Enter Sandman playing, and they probably don't have enough money to license that or don't want to spend the money to license it, but I digress. Sandman hands the Singapore cane over to Flip. Flip takes a Singapore cane that he already had. It starts beating Bully Ray with both of them. Bully Ray quits. Flip Gordon wins. We see the celebration. Him and Sandman share a cold one. Flip Gordon, to me, is a guy that every match I see him in, he keeps getting better and better and better, and the sky's really the limit with him. I'm going to give this match a 4. This match felt as much like a real ECW match, and what I mean by that is not the WWE produced ECW stuff, but this felt as much like an ECW match as anything has since One Night Stand. And it could be the effect of Bully Ray being there, it could be the Sandman being there, could be the building, but it had that ECW feel to it. And I'm an ECW guy, so it warmed my heart to have that feeling again. I thought this was a really good match. Next up, we have for the Ring of Honor World Championship, Jay Lethal versus Cody Rhodes, who's escorted to the ring by his wife Brandy. I thought this was a really good match. I think the story-wise really helped. The hype videos they were showing for this really helped build the story. I think Cody Rhodes and Jay Lethal can't have a bad match with each other. I think every match they have is really good. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I enjoyed the dichotomy of it. I like Brandy getting involved, eating a lethal injection. I like Hangman Page getting involved a bit. And Lethal overcoming the odds. Lethal picks up the win here. Again, I really liked it. I love this story they tell and how, if this is Cody Rhodes' last Ring of Honor match, how he went full circle from debuting in Final Battle against Jay Lethal to leaving in Final Battle against Jay Lethal and winning the first match and losing the last match. And I really enjoyed this. Afterwards, we see Marty Scurll come down getting Lethal's face, which brings out, surprise, Nick Aldis comes out to the ramp, the NWA champion, with Camille or Camilla. They've said it both ways. Kind of interesting that Ian Riccaboni played it as he didn't know who she was. But an interesting thing going forward, maybe we see a champion versus champion match going somewhere down the line. Maybe Marty loses his number one contendership to Nick Aldis. Interesting to see what happens from here. It left us with questions coming out of it. I give it a 5. I thought it was a really awesome match and an awesome story that was told. Now next up, we have the main event of the night. And I love the fact that Ring of Honor is willing to put their tag team titles in the main event picture. It feels so cool that they hold them with such reverence. We have SCU defending their tag titles against the Briscoe brothers and the Young Bucks in a ladder war. And this match was insane. It was crazy. There were bumps all over the place. There were people falling off the ladders, going through the ladders, getting hit with chairs. Kazarian was bleeding all over the place. Both the Briscoe brothers were bleeding all over the place. The Young Bucks were flipping all over. And their outfits looked kind of Rockers-esque. It was kind of interesting, kind of cool. I really enjoyed the look of it. This is what you expect from a ladder war. And it kind of felt like they knew that WWE has TLC this weekend, and they kind of wanted to show WWE what a TLC match can look like if it's done properly. And this was it. It was violent. It was crazy. There were people going all over the place. The action never felt like it slowed down. It never felt forced. It all felt like it fit in. So much crazy action going all over. People, the Nick Jackson flipping like a crazy man all over the place. The Briscoes just beating the crap out of everybody. Interesting spots. A lot of great action here. Briscoe brothers pick up the win to become the 10-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, and a team and 2 wrestlers that are synonymous with the company getting all the accolades they deserve. I give this match a 5. I thought it was awesome. It ended the show on a really high note. Now, before we get into our ratings, we're going to go through a couple things. I rather enjoyed a lot all this card. I felt like there's a little bit of a shift in the direction of Ring of Honor, where they're moving away from the strong style aspects of the company and going towards a little bit more of an ECW style, where they're adding a little bit more of the elements of the hardcore wrestling, adding the elements of, some I Quit matches. They're doing ladder wars more often. And maybe that has to do with the fact that they're bringing in guys like Brody King and PCO. Maybe it's just for this event, but I kind of felt this way a little. It's been shifting that way for a little while, that the in-ring style at Ring of Honor is evolving a bit. And in a good way, I think. I think it does need to evolve some, because you can't keep going and doing the same thing over and over again. You eventually have to add and evolve from that. The elite guys, the questions on where they're going to stay, whether they're going to go, don't really think that anything was answered here on that front. Interesting to see that Marty Scurll still holds the number 1 contender spot. Kelly Klein dominating in the way she did was absolutely amazing to me, and absolutely what I would have done. I really enjoyed everything about this. I thought this was an amazing show. I'm going to give the show a 5 out of 5. And the surprises, Sandman and all this. Kerry Silken getting involved in a match. I give it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was an amazing show. It really lived up to the hype of what Final Battle has become. And it's become their Starrcade, their WrestleMania, their Wrestle Kingdom, their premier event of the year, and I thought it was amazing. I rather enjoyed it. But basically, that's all I have to say on this. My name is George Coles, and this has been a Heel Heat review of Final Battle 2018.